You're on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our live interviews on Friday. We are here with our new guest today, and we're going to introduce her in a minute, but you know me, I'm Rafia, and that's Greg over there.
Hi, everyone.
And this is Jeannie O'Neill, and she is going to tell us all about her wonderful, exciting life, but she wrote this book called Produce Your Life. So we're going to talk all about everything. And keep your questions coming, and we'd love to hear from you. So, Jeannie, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming today. We really appreciate it. So, you are an author and a producer. So tell us a little bit about the shows that you've produced.
Sure. So if you count pilots, I've worked as a producer or director on 50 TV shows.
50?
50?
50.
Five,
I
zero?
don't think I've watched 50 TV.
Yikes.
That's really good. Okay, go ahead.
So some of the ones you've heard of, because people always ask which ones.
Sure.
I did House Hunters,
Oh, I
The
love that
Oprah
one.
Winfrey Show, BattleBots, Dirty Jobs, Ghost Hunters, Unsolved Mysteries, and a bunch more. So I started my career pretty much as a writer and director, and then for the last 25 years I've been directing, and now I wrote a book.
And how did you start your career?
Wow.
I moved to LA. That was what really needed to happen. You know, I grew up in San Francisco,
Okay.
and I thought I gotta get in a target-rich environment. If I want to work in TV, I gotta get where the people who work in TV are, right? So I came here, and I attended Loyola Marymount, and that started me on my way.
I never went back.
Never went back.
Wow. Well, that's exciting. So what was your first job? The first one in TV?
Okay, so in college, I interned at Entertainment Tonight
Oh, okay.
and Card Sharks, which is a game show.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hire Bob. Okay. My first paid job was as a writer on a show called Inside Video This Week, and it was sort of like an Entertainment Tonight, but it was about what came out on home video each week. So I'm totally dating myself here, but someone should.
I don't think I saw that one, but okay, sounds very
We're with you, though.
interesting.
Yeah, so it was a magazine show, and I wrote all the pieces in the show. And I remember I made, I think I made $10 an hour, which was pretty much the same thing I could have made working at the mall.
Oh
But it was
my
a much
goodness.
more
But,
interesting
yeah,
job.
but you were doing it
You
in
got
the
to start
field.
somewhere.
You
Yeah,
were
you got to go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. So, okay, so you were writing on that show, and then what led from there to the next one?
Pretty quickly, I realized that if I was going to be a woman in this business, the most viable opportunity, in my estimation, in Hollywood as a woman was to be a producer. It was very hard to break in as a writer. It was almost impossible to break in as a director. That was my analysis at the time.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I want to work in TV. I am a chick. I'm going to have to be a producer. So I set my sights on that. And the show I got my first significant producing break on was Unsolved Mysteries on NBC. Remember that old
Okay,
show with
yeah,
Robert
I
Is
Stack?
that with
Yeah.
Robert Stack?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
What was it like working with him?
You know, he was such a gentleman. He was an Olympian. Not a lot of people
I
know
did
that.
not know that.
Yeah, he was. Guess the sport. You'll never guess.
He was
Chocolate.
in,
Close. You're pretty close, but no.
No. Okay. I can't. Well, it's close. I can't think. Go ahead.
Archery.
Oh.
He was
Oh,
an
wow.
Olympic
Really?
archer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
exciting.
he was old school Hollywood and just a delight to be around.
That's nice. Good to hear.
so, okay, so you work on that, and then, so is this like late 70s, early
Oh God,
80s?
no. No. Later than that. I don't want to say
Okay.
exactly, but later than that. Yeah.
Okay, so later than the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay, so more in the 90s.
Yes.
Okay. So what happened next after that? I'm going to kind
Well,
of go through
sure.
here.
So I loved working on Unsolved Mysteries. We shot on film. We made almost like mini movies. You know, we had time and money, so I was really proud of the product we were making.
Okay.
But watching the process, it was kind of an evolution in my process because I decided, oh, directing is a really cool job. I mean, producing's good, but the directors are having a great time. So I kind of set my sight on being a director,
Okay.
and that was my next trajectory.
How were they having a great time? Just have to ask.
Well, being directing is like super creative.
Okay.
Frankly, you usually get paid triple in this genre, in this kind of area. It got me into the union, so I had a little bit of protection in
Okay.
terms of overtime and residuals and things like that. pension. So it's just a great boon to go from being a non-union producer to a union director.
And the director actually takes the whole movie or whatever your show that you're working on really becomes their vision, right? More so.
Yeah, exactly. As a director, I'm responsible for how it looks and how it sounds and how it's edited together. So you do have to have a vision of the final product. And you make all the decisions all day long based on getting that vision you have in your head.
That's very, like, high responsibility.
That's
a lot on your shoulders.
Yeah, that's a lot happening.
A lot happening. So tell us who, okay, so then after that, what happened?
After I became a director?
Yeah.
Well, I just continued to do it for the next 25 years because I really liked it.
You still doing it?
Yeah.
Are you still doing it?
I'm not. What happened was I was doing House Hunters when COVID happened.
Oh.
And they asked us to come back, and I had done that show for 3.5 years, and I felt like, you know what, that's long enough. I don't want to do the show anymore.
Okay.
So I decided, what do I want to do with this time and space? I still had a lot of creative energy, right?
Yes.
So I decided it was time to write the book that had always been in my heart.
So Produce Your Life, what exactly are you
talking about? Well, you can see the subtitle, How to Have a Creative Career and Financial Freedom.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't pursue the creative dreams that are in their heart because they're afraid they're not going to be able to make a living at it. So I wanted to write a book that wasn't just my story, it wasn't just TV and Hollywood, but I wanted to interview lots of different creatives and talk to them about how do you make your living in a freelance world? How are you a graphic designer and still paying the rent? What does it take to be a tattoo artist or an opera singer or any kind of creative? Because, you know, it's not a set path for us. It's not like if you're going to become a lawyer, you have a prescriptive path, right? You're going to go to law school, you're going to take the bar, you're going to hate your first year, and then you're going to be a lawyer, right?
And then you're going to work either for yourself or you're going to work with the firm.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're a creative, it's not a prescriptive path. So I kind of wrote the book I wish I had had when I was coming up.
Got
Very
it.
good.
Okay.
You focus a lot on doing what you love. Don't just do something to do it. Would that be a good way to
Yeah.
put it?
I mean, it's really my belief. You know, I read a statistic recently that the average person, by the time they're 65, spends 90,000 hours of their life working.
Wow. That's a lot.
90,000. That's most your waking hours.
That's a lot.
So I think you have to love it.
Yeah.
I agree.
And if you love what you do, then it's going to be good for you, right? Because you're going to wake up and you're going to want to go there. You're going to want to do everything that, and also there's a reward when you're, especially when you're creating something. If it's tangible and it's a product, then you know you get to actually see it. If it's something where you've written and you've directed or you've, you know, produced or even starred in, you know, then you have that to look at too. So there's a tangible something that you're getting out of the whole thing. And unfortunately, you're right. A lot of people, you know, feel that it's not going to be sustainable. You know, it's not going to be something that they can make a living, especially if you're a guy. Like, you have to support your family.
Right.
I mean, in these times, we've got women doing the same thing. So it's harder, you know. But I think, again, doing what you love is going to be a lot better than...
You tell people in the book to follow your energy, follow the energy. How exactly... I take it as when you're excited about something, you got to go with it. You have to,
Those are the words I use. I hear people use all sorts of different words to express the same universal truth, honestly. But we all know what makes our heart beat faster. We all know what we're attracted to and repelled by. So if you keep adjusting your course and navigating towards what you're attracted to, I just believe, you know, Rumi said, I'll see if I can remember the exact quote, something like, the desire for the right work has been placed in every heart. And I kind of believe that. I think if you're excited, you're probably excited by something I'm not excited by. You know, algebra made me cry, but French was really easy for me.
There's no such thing as algebra in real life.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, so the words I use, they're a little woo-woo, they're a little airy-fairy, but that's the way I'm choosing to say, you know, follow what lights you up, because there's a reason it lights you up. And it may not be that you have to do that thing. For example, let's say you love singing your church choir. I'm not saying you have to make a living singing,
No.
but there's something about that compels you, right? It could be collaborating with a group, harmonizing with a group. It could be actually physically singing or breathing that way. You try and find the thing about the thing that lights you up and go after that. Like when I was in high school, I was, of course, drama club nerd and acted on all the school plays and just loved it. Well, I didn't want to become an actress, but the thing about the thing that I loved was creating something with a group of people. Well, isn't that exactly what we do in television production?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but had I not followed the acting that I love, it wouldn't have led me to TV. And then producing led me to directing. When I was in school, I didn't know what a director was. I couldn't imagine myself being a director. That just seemed like beyond the pale. But when you start following the joyful parts of your life, you go, oh, wait a minute, what's that? Oh, maybe actually what I like is this. But yeah.
So you had like a natural progression to lead you to where you are today.
Yes, but you have to have the faith to trust, to follow the energy to lead you somewhere.
And you say in the book,
passionate about it, yeah.
you say, I would do it even if someone wasn't paying me.
Absolutely.
And that would be, to me, the key to know how much I love what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that's from a part of the book. When I did my first big nighttime stunt, big shoot on Unsolved Mysteries, I had 50 people on set. It was at Griffith Park. It was overnight. It was a lot of work, standing out in the cold with a whole bunch of men, mostly, who I didn't know. And I came home and I told my best friend, I go, I would do this if no one was paying me. This was so much fun. And that's how you have to feel.
Exactly.
But my point also
passion.
But what's a good time for me may not be a good time for someone else. Like, yes, it was standing all night in the cold. Yes, it was really stressful. Yes, I didn't even know half of what was going on. But that love of it, that's what gets you through kind of the ups and downs that come with any creative career.
Yeah. If you guys just joined us, we're talking to Jeannie O'Neill, and she has written a book called Produce Your Life, and we are talking about her career as a writer, producer, director. So if you have questions, please put it into the comments. We have Rick saying, hello, my friends. Hi, Rick.
Hey, Rick.
And we do have, you want to read a question?
I'm on notes. But,
okay.
But I can get there.
Okay.
Okay.
What was your favorite and worst directing experience?
Oh, gosh. It's really hard to pull out a favorite one. One of the things I loved about this career was it's taken me into all kinds of worlds. Like I've shot at the Capitol building and I've shot in trailer parks.
Oh.
I know about trucks. I know about guns. I know about all these things that I wouldn't know about otherwise. So it's really hard to pick a favorite one. I'll tell you one of the most unusual ones that's coming to mind.
Okay.
I was a director on the show Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Oh, yeah, I used to watch that.
Yeah, Dean Cain was the host. And my first shoot they gave me was a 9-camera shoot with a suspension artist. Now, do you know what a suspension artist is?
No.
Neither did I. A suspension artist is someone who's into getting pierced through their flesh with large-scale hooks and hung from things.
Oh, I've done that.
No,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Now you know.
Yeah.
No, you just didn't know the
I
term.
call it something
Right,
else.
exactly. And this particular individual
Like
wanted
body
to be...
piercing?
Yes! And he
Yeah.
wanted to be attached to the skids of a helicopter and flown over Sunset Boulevard.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was my first shoot I did for Ripley's. Talk about trial by fire. We didn't wind up going over Sunset Boulevard because the FAA wouldn't let me do it. It was a Sony show. I was so nervous by this. I kept praying that like Sony, the FAA, someone would shut me down and not let me do this. We did it. The only thing the FAA said was, you can't fly him over Sunset Boulevard because if he drops to his death, he might kill someone else. So we flew him over the Hollywood sign. At the time, I remember it was $10,000 to license the Hollywood sign. I don't know what it is now, but we spent the $10,000 and we flew him over the Hollywood sign. And it's on YouTube. I think if you look up Joey Strange on Ripley's Believe It or Not, it's on YouTube.
Is that
That
still
was his
alive?
name?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his name.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Well, I wonder if that was his name that he was
I don't
going
think so.
with.
I'm sure it was a stage name. He was an actor.
Oh my gosh. So no one else had done that particular?
No, people had been, that was what was so stressful, Rafia, because people had been hung from things, so I could interview piercers and go, is what I'm doing safe? And then people had been flown over things, so I could interview stunt coordinators and go, is this okay? But nobody had ever pierced and hung and flown someone. So I hired like rigging experts, and I hired piercers from Venice Beach who were like, 19-year-old kids with nose rings. I hired everyone I could hire to try and do this safely, and thank God Sony was so smart that they put up the money for us to have a rehearsal day at Whiteman Airfield where we flew him without piercing him yet, and we learned a lot from that. So it was really, really scary, but it all worked out. It all, they always work out somehow. No one died.
No one died? I was just going to say no one died. Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Yeah.
And things like we got Quonset huts, which I didn't even know what that was at that time, so we could pierce them in the hut so that we could become sterile, And then as he walked out to the helipad in Griffith Park, the rotor wash from the 2 helicopters spewed up all this dust, here he is with these open wounds, and there was like 27 of them, and I'm just thinking, what am I doing? Oh my God, it's going to be the end of my career, but it all worked out.
Was it gross to look at?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
It's gross to think about.
I know, I was just thinking, I don't know if I could have made it.
That was one of the most fun shows I ever worked on. I love that show.
Wow.
Yeah. But see what I say? I learned about all sorts of things I would never know about otherwise.
And you learned your own patience and tolerance.
Yeah, I did. And after that shoot, I walked into my boss. I said, no more stunts. Because I had done a lot of stunts for Unsolved Mysteries and another show called When Animals Attack. And I didn't want to do any more stunts. That's it. I'm done with stunts.
Oh my God. That sounds...
Did anybody get hurt on When Animals Attack? That just sounds wrong.
No, not on my watch anyway. But I will tell you, I did not hire a very, I want to say, well, anyway. Let's just say the segment was a cougar attack. And in real life, a 4-year-old got attacked by a cougar. So we needed to recreate that scene. So I interviewed several animal wranglers about how do I shoot this scene. And so the first guy said, okay, so we'll get the kid, the actor, child, and we'll get the cougar, the real cougar, and we'll tether the cougar so that when he charges the kid, and we'll yank on the tether and we'll pull him back. And I'm like, oh no, that doesn't sound good at all. Next. So then I interviewed another animal wrangler, and I told him what the first guy's method was, and he goes, yeah, you can't do that. It is in a cougar's nature to attack a child. A cougar will always attack a child. And you can't put a cougar and a child on the same set at the same time. I'm like, you're hired. I like you.
Oh my God.
Did you have any trouble finding a child? I mean, some parents
No.
going here.
No, because we never put the live, we put the real kid with a stuffed taxidermy cougar. That was fun to rent. And then we swapped him out, and we put...
The fact that you can even rent one.
You can rent a live cougar and a fake cougar.
Oh my God.
Yes.
There's a fake cougar store down the street. I saw that. I was wondering what that was all about.
So it was all done in edit. So
yes. We had a real kid, we had a real cougar, we had a dummy kid, we had a stuffed cougar.
Okay.
And you have to do that in pieces, otherwise.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And was that challenging for you to edit all that together, or was
I wasn't involved in that. I didn't supervise the editing on that show, but no, that wouldn't be difficult because you plan ahead for how you're going to edit it.
Okay.
So once we had our game plan, we knew how to solve the problem. It was just me hiring the right department head that I felt was responsible enough to treat this in a way when no one would get hurt.
Wow, this sounds very adventurous. So what was the highlight of your career that if someone asked you today, what was the most moment that was,
rewarding,
satisfying, satisfying?
Honestly, there hasn't been one. It's been, with 50 TV shows, and I've shot in every state but 2. I've shot Texas 29 times.
Wow.
There's no really one pinnacle moment. I mean, it's a tapestry. It's a long life, right?
Yeah.
I hate to dodge the question, but there isn't anything that stands out like, oh my God, I've made it. There was a lot of wonderful adventures along the way.
Well, that's good. And then it led you to write this book.
Yeah.
So you wrote this book just a couple of years ago. And then, so where can people find the book?
Thank you for asking that, because sometimes I forget to say. So I released the book in November, so it's just been out for 6 months. There's also an audiobook, because a lot of young people ask for an audiobook. So a year ago in San Diego, I recorded an audiobook.
I got the audiobook.
Yeah, how'd you like it?
I'm only a third into it right now because I just found out we were doing this, but it's wonderful. I've got a few questions, but
Thank you.
I will say that you read the book yourself,
I
and
did.
I have hundreds of these things, and it is one of the best I've ever heard for an author read their own book. Most of the time, a lot of the times, it's unlistenable, but you're terrific.
Thank
so
you.
if you have a chance and you don't have time to read like me, I always have time to listen to it at some point, so definitely pick up the audio version of this book.
I love that you got the book and you're reading it. I mean, or
It's
being read
really,
to.
really good. I mean, it's
That's great.
Yeah, it's very impressive. So
What else did you learn in the book that you want to ask her?
that's it.
That's
I
it?
learned- well, you kind of have to go into it, but you were talking about how people get connected and networking. And something interesting you said was you don't just go into a room of 100 people and figure you're going to find somebody there, like fishing. How do you go about it?
Yeah, I think when you're young and have all the eagerness but not a lot of knowledge, you think, I'm going to go into the room and meet 1 million people and shake 1 million hands. And I'm sure I did that when I was young and more ignorant.
We all did.
Right. But at some point I learned, no, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And I would start going into rooms, not trying to get to know everyone in the room, but trying to have a few meaningful moments with a few people. Have a real conversation, like really look someone in the eye, have a beer, relate on a human level. And at the end of that, if you have, 1 or 4 people that you stay in touch with, that you really enjoy spending time with, that's a more profitable way I found to network. And I interview a film composer in my book named Roger Swen, and he is from LA, and he talks about the same kind of thing. He's like, I would try and meet other composers that I just liked on a human level and go out to dinner with them. And I always thought, is this someone I would have dinner with regardless if they were a composer or not? And that's who I formed relationships with. So that's one of my modus operandi.
And also you bring up staying in touch. I believe there was a person you called repeatedly that didn't return your calls for a while. How did that end?
That ended really well. I did this show called Pat Croce Moving In. It was kind of like a Dr. Phil type of show. And my AP was a young woman named Bridget, associate producer. And I liked Bridget. She was great. We had a very nice working relationship. Well, this was, I don't remember what year, but she left our show to go work on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And I, like a lot of people, thought, well, that's a show I'd like to work on someday. And I'm in the Producers Guild. So a few years later, I saw on our internal job board in the Producers Guild that Harpo, with Oprah's production company, was looking for a person like me. So I sent in my resume through the Producers Guild. But those past 2 years that Bridget hadn't been on my show but had been at Harpo, I would email her from time to time. And I would just tell her what's going on in LA, what I'm doing, nothing big. We weren't close friends, yeah, but a few times a year, hey, this is what I'm doing for the summer, whatever. She never wrote back to me, not once.
Wow.
It didn't bum me out because we weren't close friends or anything. And I thought, if she wants me to stop, she can tell me to stop, and I'll stop. But that's just what I did for a couple of years. Well, that exact same week that I sent in my resume through the Producers Guild, she emailed me out of the blue, and her subject line was, do you need a job?
Oh.
I said, well, in fact, I do. And just this morning, I sent my resume off to you guys, the Producers Guild. And she goes, well, send it to me, and I will walk it into my boss. And I'm like, terrific. So, yeah, and I wound up, they flew a bunch of people from LA to interview for that particular job, and I wound up getting a job.
Which is a great...
And working with Bridget again.
Yes.
It's a great lesson for people. Keep in touch with people. Even, people are busy. They don't always have the time to write back.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind sometimes. But look what happened. And again, you met somebody, you got along with them. You didn't have to hang out with them every day, but you got a job from them.
That's a very good lesson.
But I had also done my work. I had already sent the resume. I was already looking at the producers. In fact, I think there was even a third way I approached it, and I don't recall what that was right now. But you know what I mean? It's also, you can't depend on connections to get you a job. You have to be beating the bushes and doing your thing. And if you have an extra added bonus, it doesn't hurt.
You could have burned that bridge. Like when she didn't respond, let's say the second or third time, you could have said, yeah, you could have just said, you know, you internalize it and say, hey, you know what, I'm done with her.
Right,
you know?
That's true.
And then you would have burned that bridge. Maybe you would have even sent her an email saying something that you couldn't take back, you know. And those are the moments where you have to think about what's going to happen in the future. So you did the right thing and kept it so that you had a future again with that person.
I mean, I tell a story in the book when I was a producer on Unsolved Mysteries, and these story ideas would come across my desk, and I would pitch story ideas to the show. There was a woman whose son had died, and it was originally ruled a suicide, and it turns out it wasn't. So this story came across my desk, and I was like, oh, this is an A+ story. I called her. I'm like, we're doing this story. It's fantastic. And she goes, really? I've sent stuff into you guys 4 times. And I said, well, it's never come across my desk before because this is an A+ story. Like, I'm doing this. And had she not persisted 4 times, I don't know what happened to the other 3, but I never saw them. You know, or I have a friend, a Culver City, Mar Vista local, who has a book out. She's a traditionally published author, and she submitted to 80 agents.
Wow.
Before she got her agent. 80.
Wow. That's
so
a lot.
It is. You know, I mean, these things aren't easy, but they're simple.
So the moral of the story is never give up.
Not if you want it really bad.
Yep, exactly. If you guys just joined us, we're talking to Jeannie O'Neill, and she's a producer, director, writer, and she's written a book called Produce Your Life. And if you have questions, please put them into the comments. We will read them out loud. I think we have some. Did you want to read them, Greg?
Was there a turning point in your own life that influenced the book? You mentioned the COVID at that time was sort of separating you from it, but what inspired you to do that?
Yeah. Thank you for that question, whoever you are.
Chris.
Hi, Chris. Thank you. Yes. I'm glad you asked that. So, as I mentioned, when I was coming up, I knew I wanted to work in TV. I knew I wanted to have a creative, fun job, but I didn't know exactly what it was. Was it as a writer, a director, a producer? I don't know.
But it was going to be something.
It was going to be something, and it was going to be in TV. I always gravitate towards TV.
Not movies.
Not film. So what happened was, when I was coming up in my career, I noticed that in every television production office I've ever seen, there's this thing called the production board. And it's really simple. It's a cork bulletin board with colored index cards that we put in vertical columns. And it's a way to eat the elephant one bite at a time. It's a way to break down the complexities of a production into categories that we can manage, right? And I got this inspiration that, well, I'm trying to kind of like grow the life I want. I was 24. Why don't I use the production board to kind of produce my life like we use it to produce a TV show? So I got my index cards and I made categories like I wanted to become a tennis player. So I do a category for tennis. I go practice 100 serves, which, by the way, I tore my rotator cuff. Don't do that. Or financial, you know, start putting money in an IRA. And especially things at work. Like one of my cards for work was position yourself in the executive producer's mind as the next logical choice for a promotion.
Wow.
So I would have those cards up on my production board, and it worked so fast. And I'm going to tell you the truth, I quadrupled my salary in 2 years.
Wow.
Like, I went like that. Now, there was a lot of other factors. There was time and money at play. You know, the show was accelerating. It was a top 10 network show. All of that. But that's a long way of saying what inspired me to write the book was I felt so out there, spinning my wheels. Not exactly spinning my wheels, but just unguided and without a plan, and without a structure, and not knowing how to progress quickly. And once I hit on the idea of the board, off to the races. So that kind of inspired the book, because I was like, people should know about this.
I see it as a mentoring tool, really. I mean, if you look at it, it's telling you how to go about starting not necessarily a career in television or anything, but a career that you love and that you want to do.
Yeah.
Terrific. It's a great idea.
There's more questions.
Yeah. a different page than that.
What are some common mistakes people make when trying to create the life they want?
Oh, I'll tell you the number one. It's going after the money first. I'm afraid of, I was speaking at Palos Verdes High recently for Career Day. And, you know, they're young, they don't know. But a few of them ask questions about, they're concerned about the money as the primary thing. I get it. That's that fear monster again, right? I mean, we have to eat. We have to pay rent. Duh, I get it. However, I really think that's a mistake. If you go after the money first, I would be, I don't know, some really unhappy lawyer, like I think a lot of people are. And I just don't think that's good for you.
Again, it goes back to do what you love, and then you'll love what what you're doing.
I want to do it for free.
Yeah,
Right.
It goes back to
That's
that.
a great line. I mean, that makes the most sense.
Hi to Angela's. Hi, Christine. Hi, Melanie. We've got some more questions for you here.
Melanie's asking, how are you finding getting your book out there? I mean,
Fun.
Okay.
I've also found, oh, sorry, did I say that too loud?
No, it's not loud. It's just like you're real happy. Good.
Yeah, it's really fun. I thought, what is this about? Like, what are some of my goals with this, right? I really wanted to drill down and understand that for myself. And I thought, I want to have high vibrational energy exchanges with people, like I'm doing with you guys here today.
Yeah.
So in promoting it, I wanted to lean into what would be fun for me, because there's so many ways to skin a cat, Melanie. There's so many ways to promote a book. And I have friends that really lean into all the socials and the Amazon ads and all the algorithms. And I started doing that to a degree before the book came out. And I found I really didn't enjoy that. And it's not really playing into my strengths either.
Right.
So for me, any kind of opportunity to sell it in person has
put
been
it out
fun.
in front of people. That would be best. But how do you find, one of my favorite things to do is go to Borders Books just at night and just walk around, pick up books, sit down. All those are gone now.
No, they're not. And more and more coming back. We have the beautiful Village Well in Culver City, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find.
We have in Mar Vista, Good Girls Books has just opened up.
There's still a Barnes and Noble in Marina.
Yeah.
They reopened the one in Santa Monica.
Okay.
There was an article I think it was in The Guardian recently about more and more independent bookstores coming back.
Good.
Because there's a certain set of young people that are turning away from all of this all the time and want the in-person connection.
And there's, also they're going back to some retail shopping as well instead of online. So
which is great.
I think that maybe the pandemic taught us all a lesson. We could definitely be inside and get everything on the internet. However, we were missing that personal connection. And I think that with you, selling these in person, it's a personal connection. And if they get to meet the author while they're buying your book, that's even more of a bonus, right? For anybody purchasing a book.
I'm going to tell you a true story that's happened this weekend. I was in Manhattan Beach getting into a car, and I had my book in my arm, and this young woman in an SUV parked next to the car I was getting into goes, "Can I see that book? I love that cover." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." She's like, "Did you write that?" I go, "I did." And young people are so excited when they find out that you're the author. They lose their minds. It's so cute. I love it.
But that you're inspiring people, and that's a good thing. Very good thing. All right, let's see what else we got here. What are some common mistakes people make when trying to create the life they want? That's a great. Oh, you did that one?
Yeah.
That was a really good question. Okay.
That's a good question.
Love true crime. What was it like working on Unsolved Mysteries? Was there a case that stayed with you long after production ended?
Yeah.
That's a good question, too. Thank you, Christine.
I loved it, too, because I love true stories. I mean, I write nonfiction, I read nonfiction, I love true stories. So Unsolved was really a very good match for me. I'll talk about that one I referenced earlier where I said it was an A+ story that came across my desk. This one has always stuck with me. So it was this beautiful, young, 19-year-old surfer, skater type of guy named Chad in Madison, Wisconsin. His name was Chad Maurer. And he worked at a bike store. And on the busiest day of the year, on their biggest sale day, he walked out and never came back. And the boss was like, "This is not like this kid. This kid is very conscientious." And called the parents. The parents were like, "He's not here." So he wasn't at work. He wasn't home. He never showed up again. They found him dead in a car in a locked garage, kind of far away, and we're going back many years, so I forget where. But I think it was on the south side of Chicago. That was it. It was on the south side of Chicago. And they said it was a suicide. He had carbon monoxide poisoning. Well, when the family met the coroner up on the day of the funeral, the coroner said, "I'm sorry, I did my best I could do to cover up all the bruises and everything." And the parents were like, what bruises? Like, well, he was beat within an inch of his life. And the parents were like, well, that's not what the police told us.
Yeah.
The police told us he killed himself. They said, well, I don't know, but he was beat within an inch of his life. So then it was like, what happened? And I don't think we ever solved that one. You know, we solved about 25% of the mysteries we aired. I think we aired about 1,000 original stories. And if memory serves, we solved about 250. But I don't think we ever solved that one.
Oh, that's so
what a
sad.
shame.
Yeah,
How long was he missing for when they found him? Do you remember?
Well, the owner of the bike store called the parents that day because it was so
But I
uncharacteristic.
mean, when they found him in the...
Not very long.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they had a chance. They just didn't find him.
Yeah.
But how come the police wouldn't, give that report to the parents?
You know, that happens, Rafia.
Wow. That's so sad.
But let's bring it back up.
Yeah.
Now we've gone down. Let's bring it back up. What's a happy question?
No, that was a good question though. I'm glad that. But your work was important.
Yeah, I mean, trying to help somebody, a family.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Definitely.
It was a great show. That show was a lot of. That was back when you could do that kind of stuff. They still do something. They do some of it now, crime stories and all that stuff.
They do, but they're different.
It's not the same at all.
It's not the same. I feel like the stories we did then. We did tight storytelling. Like, we would tell that whole story in like a 10 or 15-minute segment. Now you watch a Dateline, a 2020, one of those.
I can
true crime
figure it
shows.
out in 5
Right,
minutes.
you know in the first act, the husband did it. So why are you going to watch the
What's
next
the point?
45 minutes?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
So, another question goes back to where you grew up. What part of the city did you grow up in?
Ingleside Terrace, why do you ask?
Ingleside Terrace. Where is that exact? I don't think I ever heard that one.
It's not far from San Francisco State.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of on the southwest end of the city.
Okay. Sounds good. All right.
You're right.
It was his question.
Oh.
Because he grew up there.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's too shy to come out and ask
we'll
me
talk
personally,
later.
So he writes from the
Bogey in the background.
Yeah. Any more questions that are on there? Do you see any?
No, I have one. You talk about course correcting. People who are kind of not quite following the path. Explain that.
Sure.
Because I think it's very important.
I feel sad for kids, teenagers, people in their 20s, whatever. They feel like they have to have their whole life figured out, at the age of 18 or something. It's like, I got to know what I'm going to major in. I had a friend of mine, Dr. Uju Anya, her son, Dimitri, was 10, and he seemed down. I said, what's wrong, Dimitri? He goes, I haven't found my sport. I'm like, oh my God, like you're 10. I didn't find mine until I was 25. Like, lighten up. But I felt it was sort of indicative of like, they feel like they gotta know exactly what they're gonna do, and they have to declare it, and they have to stick to it, and I just don't believe that. I think if you act like that, you're making a life decision based on the decision of like a 15-year-old. Does that sound wise? When you're 15, you have this much data. Like, I thought I was going to be a talk show host or an anchor woman. And I had this much data, right? And because of what I understood, like I said, I didn't even know what a director was. But as you progress and you start doing things, like I'm like, but this attracts me to TV. Okay, I'll get in the TV world. Oh, if I'm a woman, I should probably try and be a producer. Okay, I wound up a producer. Oh, directing looks really in line with my talents. When I was a little girl in Ingleside Terrace, I used to listen to these story records, these like fairy tales, and make all the pictures in my head. And so when I became a director, I'm like, oh, this is the same thing. I'm getting the script, the story, the pictures come in my head so easily. Like, it was perfectly in line with my talents. But when I was 15, even when I was at Loyola Marymount, I didn't know what a director really was or did. So
I'm still learning right now what a director is.
But I think the greater point is, you don't have to have everything all figured out. You follow the energy, you go towards what you love, and then you find out, like for me, I found out, oh, if I worked in local news, the deadlines would be hard, and and it would be so like negative and tragic, and I want to have that be my headspace. So I navigated away from that. So that's when I talk about course correcting, like the analogy of a pilot. From my limited understanding of what it's like to be a pilot, you don't just fly in a straight line. You have to course correct based on the weather and everything else.
But don't you think that, I'm going back to Dimitri who asks that question, but don't you think that there's a lot of pressure from peers, from parents, from, you know, all of that?
Society at large.
We grew up, Greg and I, around the same age, so we grew up, you know, just, we didn't have that pressure of joining a sport team or anything. We went outside and played, you know, and did whatever you felt like doing, you know, riding bikes, or if you wanted to play, you know, football on the street with your friends, that's what you did, you know. But it wasn't like the pressure of having to go to a league or any of that.
Yeah, you didn't even have to be that good. They didn't care. We were just playing. We were just going out there and playing.
Yeah, we were lucky.
Yeah, we were. I mean, it was great. But go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You're fine. I'm just saying, I think that, you know.
Oh, I understand the reasons for it, believe me.
Yeah.
Because getting to college wasn't that hard. Like, it really wasn't. You know, and I feel like now these kids feel like they have to cure AIDS in Africa before they can get accepted to college. So I get it. I just think it's not a good way to live.
No.
Let the kid be a kid.
There's also a lot of other things going on, crypto and all these other things these kids want to get. A lot of kids, I'm reading this more and more frequently, they don't need to go to college. They're being told that could be a waste of time. At least going to a fancy, you know, going to Harvard, it's like they're just more interested in picking a field, which is not a bad thing. And then,
but doesn't that go back to? And I don't want to. Their lives are hard. I'm not trying to criticize anyone who's struggling. We're all struggling in different ways, right? But doesn't that go back to? So I'm going to pick this because this is how I make money. Okay, if that's your main focus, but I think you're missing out on the joy and the richness that comes with being a broader human, which I think college gives you.
You're missing out on all the people you meet in college and get to, and again, that leads to the networking down the line. I mean, I'm still in touch with some of the people I went to college.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it's,
You could also meet your also meet your future spouse.
That's very true. Is that where you met yours?
No.
No? Okay.
But you could.
Yeah.
But you could.
If
you guys just joined, we're talking to Jeannie O'Neill, and she's written a book called Produce Your Life, and it's a great little book, and we're talking about her story of being a writer, producer, director. And one of the great things about this is you guys asking questions, so we appreciate all the questions. Keep them coming.
I got a good one.
Yeah.
Well, two from Christine again. Chris, first of all, really enjoyed the book. I really enjoyed the interview buying the book. That's good. So you sold one. So we can go. We're done. Okay, the other
That's
thing
the best.
This is a great question, Chris.
It is. It's a really good question.
If your life story were turned into a TV show, what would the title be?
Oh my gosh.
That's a really good
That's
question.
a terrific question.
Girl, I gotta think about that. Titles are hard. I worked on this title for years. I can't just do this on a live stream. I'm sorry.
Okay, your other question.
Maybe that should be the title.
Maybe that'll be the title of my second book.
Yeah.
No, maybe that should be the title of your TV show.
Oh yeah, okay, sure, we'll go with that.
Okay. And the other thing is, what's next for you?
Produce your life.
Now that you've done this and you...
I just want to enjoy this right now, you know? It's like I just had my baby. Let her grow up. Let me take her to, you know, junior high and the prom and all those things. Yeah, I just kind of want to move forward enjoying the moment I'm enjoying right now.
Okay.
Was it hard for you to find someone to produce your book for you?
Well, I produced it for me, so
okay,
no.
so you did it yourself.
Being a producer, I just looked at it like a production, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I did self-publish this, which means, and there's a million ways to go about this, but I felt like if I traditionally published it, it was going to take me a year to find an agent, then it was going to take a year for that agent to find a publisher, then it was going to be a year for me to work with that publishing house. It was going to take 4 years.
Yeah, and then you have to pay the agent, you have to do all these other
And I
things.
didn't mind that, but I just didn't want to spend 4 years birthing this baby. So I hired a cover designer I hired, and I worked on this cover a lot. And I'm going to tell you, since this is a local show, I went to the Village Well, and I tested my different covers. I tested the color, I tested the image, just in my own little beta testing kind of way, which if anyone cares about, I could tell them more about that. But
what were the other colors?
orange, red, yellow, and a sunset color that progressed from red to orange to yellow.
Okay.
But yellow was what I always wanted. But I had to test it with what I figured were my target reader.
Okay.
So I did that. You know, I bought ISBNs. I got a copyright. I got professional headshots. I didn't know the interior of a book needs to be formatted. There was just a million choices to make. I got a P.O. box so people wouldn't have my home address. There was just a lot to producing it. Oh yeah, I sent it to beta readers so I would have endorsements from people who liked the book. So I looked at it like a production.
Wow.
Of course I made a board for it, a production board for it. And it took me, I would say it took me 10 months from start to finish to actually produce the book, the audio book, and the ebook.
9 months would have been great, because then
Yeah,
it is like
right.
having a baby, but all right, that's close enough.
And how long did it take you to just write everything?
That is a trickier question to answer because 15 years ago, I was going to traditionally publish. And I wrote a proposal. The proposal was 35 pages. That took me about 5 months.
Okay.
And I started to take it out to some good agents, you know, through people I knew. And I got all positive feedback from the agents. They were like, we like you, we like the voice, we like the title, had a different title then. But they all said, what's your following? 15 years ago. And I said, what's a meaningful number? And they told me 100,000. And I said, well, I'm not a Kardashian. I could maybe get 5,000 if I really put my mind to it.
Yeah.
But 100,000 is not going to happen. And I was still working full-time as a director then. So I tabled the idea. And then in 2021, I think, I brought out the manuscript, decided I could self-publish. And so I probably worked on the writing of it for, I'd say, 2 years-ish.
Okay.
Wow. That's a long time.
Yeah.
But are you happy with the end result?
I am, and as I would tell people when I'd be lighting a scene for an hour, I'd go, beauty takes time, people, you know? Do you know about the production triangle?
No.
Okay, do you?
No.
Okay. So, your production triangle, if you could write this on a board, I would write it for you. You, at the apex, at the corners of each triangle, you have fast, cheap, and good. Now, you may have 2 of the 3, but you can never have all 3 at once. You can have it fast and cheap, but it won't be good, right? You can have it good and fast, but it's not going to be cheap. So, yeah, it took a long time, but to me, I was like, this is something that's going to have my name on it. It's going to live in perpetuity. I have to feel really good about it.
Of course.
So,
yeah.
beauty takes time.
Yeah.
Wow. So, where can they buy the book?
Thank you for asking. You can buy the book, the audio book, the ebook, both hardback and paperback on Amazon, and also at the Village Well in Culver City. And I'm sure you can walk into Goodreads in Mar Vista, or Diesel in Brentwood, or Barnes & Noble in Santa Monica, and ask them for the
And
book.
then Marina. Yeah, and Audible has it. That's where I got mine, from Audible. Which is Amazon, basically.
Yeah,
And again, the Audible.
Village Well is right on Culver and Duquesne, so it's right on the corner there.
Again, the Audible is terrific. I can vouch for that. It's really well
And
read.
it's her. It's her reading.
It's a great book. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you. It was so far very entertaining. I will finish it tonight.
Do you have a website that they can
I
also
do.
submit you to?
And it's spelled like this. I know you don't have a close-up, but it's JEANNIE, then dash ONEILL.com. So Jeannie, like, you know, I dream of Jeannie. O'Neill, like the surfboards.com.
We'll post that on the on Facebook as well.
Thank you.
What else do you want people to
What
know
would you like
before
people to know?
Yeah.
Oh, that you guys are terrific interviewees.
Oh, we know.
This has
We-
been so easy and pleasant.
Well,
and
we try.
I thank you. I
Thank
love
you.
that you're promoting local businesses. Let's do it.
Absolutely. You know, that's what we try to do. And if you guys like these and you want to be in her position and be in the hot seat with us, just contact one of us and we will put you on the list and get you going so we can interview you. These interviews, these live interviews are also kept on the Culver City Biz YouTube page. So you can go over there and they'll be sitting there waiting for you as well. We're a little behind in posting them there, but we will get them all on there soon.
And please join when you
Yes,
go by
please
there.
subscribe to that because that really helps us. We appreciate that. And thank you all for watching. Tune in next week for another live with another new guest. Thank you, Jeannie. We've enjoyed talking to you. It's been so much fun learning so much about
nice.
you
Yeah,
and
sure.
your career. You know, I actually want to talk more, but
Yeah.
I think we should go. We've been on here long enough. But thank you again, and thanks everyone for their questions. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. See you next time.
Great weekend, everybody. Thank you.